So it's not a gamble, it's up and running in 2 other states, but we're working with Deep Green on it. So that was the thought process, and once I read the emails that came in, I thought, okay, I see the other side, I just pulled it because it does take 60 days to get to a rate case, but that's not a problem. If this project moves forward, it's gonna take quite a while to do that. So I had zero heartburn with that, and I told the commission, all of the things that I put in that for their approval, I'm gonna do it anyway. You know, the requirements to make sure our customers are no harmless, and that's in our policy, but it was just to put it in there for transparency. So there was no downside once I looked at it, and we took it off.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who gets to make the final decision on whether or not this thing is built?
City Council.
Okay.
Well, we will be the ones that will vote on the zoning, and if the zoning change doesn't happen, then this doesn't happen. There will be a process, and I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but there will be a process. We are public in everything we do, so you'll have plenty of opportunities to come down. We'll have a public hearing on it, all kinds of different things. This will be January, February of next year. I'm likely not to be in leadership then, so it'll be a different leadership team, but it'll still have the same transparent process where you can come down, voice your opinion one way or the other, and certainly always reach out to your council members with questions or concerns, and you can actually reach all of us. That includes the 4 wards and the 4 at large from city.council@lansingmi.gov. That goes to all of us as an email.
And follow up for that. So will the city council make its decision based off of the opinion of its residents or the business interests?
I represent the people of the first ward. So I am not committed to anything. I think that they knew that from our first meeting, that I don't have a strong feeling either way. It was important for me and other council members. 2 of them are here today, Mr. Garza and Mr. Hussein. I think it was important for all 3 of us to hear what the public has to say and what the public continues to say about this data center. For me, all my decisions are based on what I am hearing from the constituents. And I certainly wanted to have this meeting today to hear from you.
Follow-up question. What are you hearing from your constituents today, you think?
What am I hearing today? I think there's a lot of questions about this. I think that there is some concern about this. And, you know, I'm not going to pick on anybody. Deep Green, I think, is going to have to prove that the issues that I have heard, from water usage to chiller to the type of chilling coolant to all of these things, the generators, biodiesel, what does that mean? They're going to have to persuade folks. It's not my job to persuade them on this project.
Sorry, thank you.
Just we are planning, I don't know if we confirmed dates, but 2 events in January that will run. We'll take a lot of the feedback from today and make sure we have better answers for some of the cooling questions and stuff like that. But we will be engaging publicly on 2 more occasions, most likely in January. So we'll announce that as soon as we can.
In Deep Green, the City of Lansing commit to 0 tax abatements unless 25 or more full-time employees coming to you?
They haven't asked for any tax abatements.
I mean long-term.
I mean, I don't know what tax abatement. Raleigh, I'm not sure what
I
tax
can at least say
abatement is.
they have not requested any tax incentives at the moment from the City of Lansing. If an incentive, and I'm not sure which ones immediately would even be eligible for something like this. The comment I want to make and assure is that if an incentive is requested, it either often goes through our Lansing Economic Development Corporation body first, and then also comes through for City Council final. So if there's an incentive request, to my knowledge, I can't think of any administrative incentive request that the mayor can give, so City Council would have to vet and approve any future incentive.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure that there's any incentive that comes to mind that would benefit this type of a project, other than maybe a brown field, but I don't know if the ground is contaminated there or not. Likely it is.
As a follow-up question to that, even if it's likely that there may not necessarily be a need for those abatements, would the city council be willing to consider that commitment?
I mean, I can't speak for all of council, but I mean, I firmly have been adamant about certain tax breaks and not giving these tax breaks out anymore, because it ends up breaking the back of the folks that are paying, you know, these tax rates, our citizens. So that doesn't just mean homeowners either, because that cost gets passed on to renters as well, and we continue to put all of this on the backs of residents. So, you know, for me personally, I am somewhat adverse to tax incentives unless it's going to, you know, be something that will benefit the community or something that no one has touched for a very long time. But that's a whole different discussion.
Looking forward, the infrastructure that is built to support them is paid for by Deep Green. If Deep Green leaves, the infrastructure stays there. So it's just an advantage to the city of Lansing for attracting other businesses, because the next business can get in at a lot lower rate because a lot of infrastructure is put in place. So if we are held harmless, which means our customers are held harmless.
Helped us understand the issue more fully. Part of the reason you're hearing the fear and the skepticism in our community is because we've been burned in the past with other organizations and other projects. And part of the reason you're hearing requests for a community benefits agreement is because, as the gentleman in the corner who I don't know skillfully articulated, that without something that's enforceable, we may be burned again. Regardless of whether it's cited properly, regardless of whether it does the environmental things you talked about, regardless of whether it provides local jobs, once you get your zoning, we lose our leverage.
That's right.
It is fair, it's unfortunate, but it's how our American system works. So I am asking you what we can expect and agree upon before the zoning process is voted on, so that we as a community can show up and say, yes, we can stand behind this, or no, we can't stand behind this, because once you get your zoning, it's over for us. It may be good,
Yeah.
it may be bad,
Yeah.
but it's
That's out
over.
of your control. That's a total reasonable point. I'd ask if we could maybe go away and come back with a suggestion on that commitment.
Happy
Great. Thank you.
Land that we live on, and I think move with a lot of compassion for our neighbors. And I think that's why there's so much interest in what's happening right here. And I'm hearing the reason that we even are coming to the table is because of this rezoning. So my question is more about the future for Lansing moving forward. If this rezoning didn't have to happen, it sounds like our voices wouldn't have a place at this table. And so what are we doing as a city or as BWL about future or other tech companies that might want to build in our lands, in our space, in our home, what restrictions are placed on them? I'm hearing Deep Green cares a lot about the environment, that's part of their model, but could these other places come and choose a spot that wouldn't require rezoning, and suddenly the folks that live here and call this home no longer have any say in what's being built, or if there are more data centers happening? And is that something that we can move toward having greater restriction to protect our beautiful home? So that's BWL and
Raleigh, I guess this is a question for you, Raleigh. I can't think off the top of my head of any zoning that would be big enough that's open space to do a data center without any kind of change and.
I would say currently, there would be, if there's an industrial, currently is a parcel that's already zoned industrial, this would be an eligible use. And so it would not require rezoning. I want to back up for a second just to clarify. This applicant is requesting a conditional rezoning. And the difference, if approved by council, is if Deep Green ever leaves the site, sells the site, it will revert back to its original zoning of DT3, downtown urban core. And so that's was an advantage that we negotiated with the applicant instead of a straight rezoning, which would leave this as industrial forever and would require it to be rezoned back to something else if that was ever a desire. That is one of the rights of zoning, is whatever it's zoned and whatever the city, through the administration and council allow under their use table per that zoning. There's a by right then for that to allow, but there's additional arms to that. You know, there's gonna be build requirements under each one of those zoning. I can't speak, and I think Dick will speak to the VWL side of things in terms of a company of this size or even larger, if there's energy needs that aren't here today, what that process may be. You know, though from the administrative side, we are taking a closer look at our form-based code and our use table to see if we can define better data centers moving forward for areas that are already zoned for this. The advantage we can do right now is that this applicant's going through that process, so we can put some of those things in right now for them. But we're considering the future in the market of already zoned industrial sites of how we can better define data centers for those applicants to the benefit of those who live directly adjacent to those parcels and for the greater city.